So when you shot that finale, did you have any idea of what kind of the interpretation of that was? Or did they just leave you in the dark during this hiatus and kind of picked up and you figured out where this was going?
Oh no, I knew. Yeah. Absolutely, it's a beautiful little piece of the puzzle. For Juliana, I think she sort of, the audience gets to kind of live that moment through her, in essence, and it was a very vague idea of what this alt reality traveling, what is all of that? In the beginning of the show, it was very unclear. So that was a solidifying moment of it's real, it's possible, it's right in front of you, and you're the one you lost.
Yeah. She seems to always make the human choice. I think we've seen definitely at the end of season 1 and at the end of season 2. Now I think I saw the resistance is a big part of the marketing stuff.
Very
is that so. Kind of a sign that she's gonna do some stuff that really starts to help the resistance even more and kind of is a little more selfless towards that?
I think selfless. That's sort of up to interpretation. I think, because I sort of see her that way, from the get. But she's someone who has the greater good in her sights at all times, and absolutely, the resistance and really trying to stop this supremacy that is threatening.
Hi.
Jason, what are you allowed to tell us about?
Exactly. Tell them all the things.
Oh God, you're so tired of hearing this.
No, go on.
So I play Wyatt Price, who's fled Ireland and come to America. So he wouldn't be unique in that respect, but he ends up in the neutral zone and makes a career for himself, hustling and working the black market, offering goods and services, a wide-ranging network of people, and quite sort of powerful in his own small way. And so he runs into Juliana in the Palace Bar in Denver, Colorado, as part of the neutral zone. And so you don't really know whether he's trustworthy or not. I'm not sure Juliana knows, but I think there's something about him that's
refreshing.
Yeah, this sort of refreshing and I think something that suggests there's more to him than meets the eye, and he certainly has a really sort of interesting and complex backstory, which I can't really tell you much about without spoiling stuff, but it leads to a lot of adventure.
Yeah, it does.
Later in the season.
Yeah.
What attracted you to the show?
I mean, first of all, I think the quality of the show is fantastic. I think it's one of the best things on TV, and particularly, I just love the way the show looks. The production design and the lighting and the cinematography. I think it's just second to none. But I also really admire the actors on the show, and I'm not just saying that because I'm next to the star. But no. But and obviously the things that the show is saying, the themes it's dealing with, and how it's tackling those themes. I'm also a Philip K. Dick fan, so
What do you think it is about Philip K. Dick that people keep on? He's still relevant. It doesn't matter what happens, he's always kind of there. What do you think it is about his?
Well, I think his works are now classic. They're timeless.
He was so ahead of his time. Is the thing. He kept, predicting things that we're now living. I can only imagine what he'd have to say now. I mean, I can't imagine.
Well, in fact, Issa was saying that he would not be pleased.
Right.
He'd be apoplectic at what's happening at the moment.
Absolutely.
So, and I think that comes through in his work, and his work speaks for him. It speaks for all of us.
I think especially now a show like Man in the High Castle is important to have on TV?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really glad that the book has been brought to life, and so more people have access to the story, and I think there's a really powerful allegorical lesson to be learned in there.
Had you read the book, or did you?
I'd read it a long time ago and then reread it. And I was sort of fascinated by how you guys, because obviously I wasn't in the first couple of seasons, but how you guys kind of made it into the series that it became. Obviously there's no John Smith in the book, but there are other things that happen in the book that happen much later in the first season. And even a couple of things that happened, I think, in the second. So, and even the third.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool that there are pieces of the book spread out
So
throughout
you were already
3
watching
seasons.
the show before you joined.
I hadn't actually. I'd be lying if I said I'd watched the whole 2 seasons before I joined. But I did sit down and binge watch the whole thing once I realised that there would be a possibility of being involved. Yes, and loved them, but I'd already, the show had a really good reputation. Everyone I talked to had seen it, loved it. And it turns out they had very good taste.
So is there a love story in the air of season 3?
I don't know. What do you think?
Come on, tell us.
Juliana and Wyatt get on very well in their first scene. Really well.
That sums it up.
Did we get any
Yeah.
alternate Julianas? We got one alternate Juliana this season. That was a mega surprise when it happened. I was like, Jesus, what did I just see? But anything like that this season?
Yeah, we start diving into the mythology more, which then brings in the films and where they come from and why, and their significance to her specifically, because she is often in them. And so we get to sort of live through these alternate realities through her own visions and reflections of them. It's a pretty cool thing.
I love that stuff that builds the mythology of a show.
Yeah, me too.
How do you
Like
approach
this season.
playing multiple versions of you, basically?
God, that's a difficult thing to answer. I think we're all sort of products of our environment and our upbringings, and who we are is reflective of so many things around us. I think it's just an isolated piece of a different character. Where she would have grown up, what she would have been around, her skill sets and whatnot. Those are the obvious things. The emotional aspects I couldn't put to words. But there's definitely a different tone to each. Yeah.
Must be fun to play as well.
It's so fun. So fun.
So it's been a long hiatus. What seems to be the thing that fans ask you guys the most about the coming season?
When is it coming out?
When?
That they don't care. They just want to know when.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
give me a date, which will be released very, very soon. But all we know as of now is it's fall. Yeah.
Today. They're making a
They're
big
gonna
announcement
tell us
today.
today.
Panel.
Figured.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Talk